In this video, we are going to create an expert advisor that utilizes standard deviation to determine entry points for trading. Let's see how we can do that. We start Metaeditor by clicking a little icon or pressing F4. The first thing we do is include the CTrade class from the standard library. This class provides simplified trading methods, such as PositionOpen and PositionModify, which will help us manage our trading operations more efficiently. Next, we instantiate a CTrade object with default parameters. This object will manage all trading operations, including position management. Now we move on to the strategy configuration parameters. These parameters can be adjusted in the Expert Advisor properties. We define several input parameters. The Lookback Bars parameter is set to 50, which indicates the historical range for highs and lows, allowing us to analyze between 1 and 1,000 candles. The Min Candles Back parameter is set to 5, which specifies the minimum age for valid highs and lows, allowing us to consider between 5 and 50 candles. The Trailing Offset parameter is set to 10.0, which represents the safety distance for the trailing stop-in points, with a range of 1 to 20. The Std Dev Period parameter is set to 20, which is the period for calculating the standard deviation. Finally, the Std Dev Threshold parameter is set to 0.0020, which is the threshold for standard deviation crossovers. Next, we define global variables and handles to store state between ticks and indicator data. The Std Dev Handle variable will hold the handle for the standard deviation indicator. The Std Dev Buffer array will store the standard deviation values, while the price data array will hold the open, high, low, and close price data. The previous Std Dev variable is initialized to 0 for comparison purposes. We then define the expert initialization function, which is executed once when the expert advisor starts. In this function, we create the standard deviation indicator handle using the istd dev function. This function takes parameters such as the current symbol, the H1 timeframe, the standard deviation period, and the mode of calculation, which is set to mode SMA for a simple moving average based on the closing prices. We also configure the arrays as time series, ensuring that the newest data is at index 0. This is done using the ArraySetAsSeries function for both the Std Dev Buffer and price data arrays. Finally, we return the success code and it succeeded. Now we move on to the functions for opening positions. The Open by Position function is responsible for executing a market order for a buy position. It retrieves the current ask price using the symbol info double function and then calls the PositionOpen method from the CTrade class. This method takes several parameters: the symbol, the order type, the volume, the entry price, the initial stop loss, the take profit, and a comment. In this case, we specify a position size of 0.10, which means we are buying 10 micro lots. The initial stop loss and take profit are set to 0, indicating that they are disabled. The Open Sell Position function operates similarly but for sell orders. It retrieves the current bid price and calls the PositionOpen method with the appropriate parameters for a sell position. Next, we define the main function for price updates, which is executed on each tick and contains the core logic of the strategy. In this function, we first retrieve historical price data for analysis. We use the copy rates function to copy H1 candle data for the specified lookback period. This function takes parameters such as the symbol, the time frame, the starting position, the count of candles to copy, and the target array where the data will be stored. We then load the standard deviation values from the indicator buffer using the copy buffer function. This function takes the indicator handle, the buffer number, the starting position, the count of values to copy, and the target array. Next, we check the status of open positions. We initialize a Boolean variable as open position to false and set the current position type to position type by as a default value. We iterate through all open positions in reverse order to safely identify relevant ones. For each position, we retrieve the unique ticket number and check if the position belongs to the current symbol. If it does, we mark that an open position has been found and store the type of the current position. We exit the loop after finding the first matching position. Now we move on to trend detection and position management. We check if the standard deviation has increased above the threshold, indicating a potential buy condition. If there are no open positions, we call the open by position function to open a new buy position. If there is an open buy position, we identify the lowest low in the lookback period using the iLowest function. We check if this low point is at least min candles back old and if the current price is above the identified low. If both conditions are met, we calculate the trailing stop level by adding the trailing offset to the last low price and call the process trailing stop function to manage the trailing stop. For the sell condition, we check if the standard deviation has decreased below the threshold. If there are no open positions, we call the open sell position function to open a new sell position. If there is an open sell position, we identify the highest high in the lookback period using the iHighest function. We check if this high point is at least min candles back old and if the current price is below the identified high. If both conditions are met, we calculate the trailing stop level by subtracting the trailing offset from the last high price and call the process trailing stop function. The process trailing stop function is responsible for managing the trailing stop for both buy and sell positions. It loops through all open positions in reverse order and selects each position by its ticket number. We check if the position matches the specified position type and belongs to the current chart symbol. We then retrieve the current stop loss value and update it based on the position type. For buy positions, we check if the new stop level is higher than the current stop or if there is no existing stop loss. For sell positions, we check if the new stop level is lower than the current stop or if there is no existing stop loss. If the conditions are met, we call the PositionModify method from the CTrade class to update the stop loss. Finally, we press F7 to compile the code. If this was too fast for you or if you don't understand what all the code is doing, you may want to check out the premium course on our website or watch one of the basic videos first. If that works, we go back to Metaeditor by pressing F4 or clicking on the icon. Back in Metaeditor, we press Ctrl and R to start the strategy tester, pick the expert advisor that we have just created, enable the visual mode, and start a strategy test. We should see the expert advisor on the chart. If you are already a premium course member and have an idea for a video like this one, you can send us an email. In summary, we have learned how to code an expert advisor that utilizes standard deviation for trading decisions. We have implemented several key functions and parameters to manage our trading strategy effectively. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.